Hello, everybody, and welcome to Is This the Norm? I'm Laura.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Heather. And today I'm going to be talking about our furry canine family members and their evolution and getting us to adopt them in essence. So, starters, dogs are the oldest domesticated animal. And dogs were domesticated. There's two different, theories on when they started to become domesticated. So, dogs were domesticated from their wolf ancestors over either 15,000 years ago, and then some research says anywhere from 30,000 years ago to 33,000 years ago. So, that's quite a long time that we've had these cute little boogers in our lives. The evolution of our canine family members is a combination of evolution and human intervention of selective breeding that resulted in certain temperaments and special abilities. So as we know, hunting dogs, hounds that can sniff out certain things, and there's even I know that there's pigs that can sniff out truffles, but I think that there's a certain variety of dogs that can find certain herbs or plants, as we know, marijuana and other drugs when you have a drug dog. And then I think, Laura, if you remember when we went to the airports, they had, I think it was hounds, where weren't sniffing necessarily for drugs, but for certain types of fruit or foods that you were taking from one country to another. I remember it specifically when we were in Peru's airport. Do you
Yeah, I
remember that,
remember
Laura?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that you don't get cross species.
So, yeah, so we've, as humans, we've bred them that way, and not just as being working dogs, but, to be our family members. So they say that it's almost like an accidental domestication. There are multiple theories on that, and we'll get into more specifics of that. But in the broad scheme of things, just like modern wolves, early wolves had a wide range of fear responses. And those with the lowest fear responses were more likely to hang out around the edges of early human settlements. And eventually, because their fear responses were less, they would start interacting with those humans. Only then did people take over and start breeding for some of those traits they found most useful, like barking when there was a threat, participating in the hunt, or being companions. So, why were dogs drawn to humans? Again, there's multiple theories on that. I think there's two major ones that I'll discuss. They say it's due to something called coevolution, where two species evolve in response to each other's behaviors and needs. So, over time, dogs or wolves that became dogs and humans developed a mutually beneficial relationship. So, for example, human feeds a dog, offers it shelter. Human and dog are companions to each other, affectionate, and they protect each other. And this form is called the mutual give and take relationship as we know it. And the more that is learned about dogs, the more we realize just how much of it was accidental. But how and when dogs evolved from wolves is a matter of debate. There are two main schools of thought. Some researchers believe that humans domesticated wolves who were scrounging around their villages for trash. Others think that humans were taking care of wolves from the time they were puppies until the puppies were tamed and they somehow then evolved into dogs and they just kept breeding those tame type of wolves to become dogs. Uh, Possible theory is that humans followed wolves when they were hunting to get the game, and then wolves in turn learned to wait for scraps from the bipedal humans or the two leg walkers as hunters. So the humans were more accurate at getting this game, and then they had rudimentary tools that the wolves didn't have because they just have teeth. So the humans were able to cut up the meat or whatever, and then they would leave these scraps for the wolves, and the wolves would just eat them. So really, they didn't have to do the hunt. They didn't have to do all the work. They just led the human to the game. The game would be killed by the human, and the human would give them food. So that's the other theory. So you got this, like, the puppies came in that were less fearsome, or it was a hunting situation. Neither one has been proven false. They're just theories. So with the hunting thing, the wolf was like, hey, these people are way better hunters than we are. And when they go out, they always leave us scraps. So it's easier for us to just take the scraps and have to hunt. And so that's where this kind of like co-evolution, that the give take relationship came from. And then there's traits that make them ideal companions. Their ability to read human emotions. So these dogs in general can read human emotions. And this is, again, goes kind of to the where we've had dogs become working dogs, or what's the word I'm trying to think of, where they're specially trained to help out like vets or people that have seizures, emotional
A
Service
support
guide dog
service
and a
animals.
service dog.
Yeah, there we go. So they have this specific, very unique thing that's not in any other domesticated animals, is this empathy and social intelligence. So studies show that dogs can interpret facial expressions, recognize human voices, and even sense changes in body language. So they're very intuitive to what we're doing. This is rooted in evolutionary history of dogs who learn to rely on humans for food, safety, and social interactions. They do not only read our emotions, they know how to respond to them. How, a certain way of our voice. I'm sure that, anybody that's had a dog, they know the dog knows when you're like maybe baby talking to them, like I do to my dog. Or when I'm like, my voice gets a little deeper and I use my finger to point, they're picking up on that right away, even at a very young age. So, or if we're feeling sad or we're sick and we're kind of lounging around, how they'll come up to you and either nose you or cuddle you because they know something's not right.
That's exactly what I thought of when you first started talking about that. Is like my little girl Sylvia. She was crying and she's so sad and she's balled up in a ball. And our puppy Brizzy, well, she's not a puppy, she's a dog, but she came up and she's like sniffing her and like nudging at her, like, what's the matter?
Yeah,
Very,
yeah, that's exactly what they do. And the empathy trait is particularly strong in breeds like golden retrievers and labs, of course, which were selectively bred for their gentle temperament and sociability. So I think that's what's really great about my dog, she's a rescue and she's got the classic, she's pit bull or pity breed and then lab. So though she has that protective trait about her that I really like, she's also very gentle and loving and just adores children. So, yeah, I mean, we breed certain types to get a certain type of temperament, and I think that's great, and you have to find the best one for your kid. And I think even the empathy trait I think is pretty strong in the cow breeds. Like Brizzy, I think that's another. They're very protective, and in tune to the emotions of their humans. So this
yeah,
kind of leads us into
100% she's like that. She before I had Sylvia, she would count all of us. She would go and tap her nose on everyone, maybe just because she was younger and had more energy, but she doesn't do it so much anymore, but she was always counting her pack. And I remember teasing like, "Oh, can you count to 4, Brizzy?" once Sylvia was born, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're very in tune to that, and they know, like, what that reminds me of, a totally sidetrack. But remember when you were first pregnant well, you weren't first pregnant, you were probably like 6, 7 months along. So this has got to be like August. So yeah, I would say you're 6, 7 months along because I remember you had a belly. And Lucky, my husband's dog, I brought him with me because he was at the end of his life and we knew he had cancer. So wanted to give him the best of everything and took him up to where you were living, Laura, and took him on a hike. But I remember I stayed the night with you and he slept on your side.
Yeah,
Do-
I remember that. And he's dying of cancer in
Mhm.
pain, and he's worried about me and my baby. I'm like, "Oh, that was so sweet."
Yeah, he was very pretentious like his dad, but very smart, cute animal. He was he was a lab. So yeah, he was very, intuitive on it's just crazy that they know that. Like he knew there was something about you. I don't know if he knew you were pregnant, but he was like, I got to protect this one and I'm going to sleep on her side. And I think that was like the first time he met you, if I remember right.
Oh, yeah, it was the very first time.
Hmm. So I just made me think of that story when you were talking about Brizzy being able to count to 4. And I was like, hey, wait, you know what? They just know when you're pregnant. Okay, so the pack mentality is, as we know, when you get a new dog, they have to be comfortable. I had that with Marley when I adopted her because she was 5 when we adopted her, and it was a wild for 6 months. But once she knew that she was part of our pack, she was it's just like any other dog I've had. It was, she loves you and she's part of it and they know that. It just takes a while. So in the wild, during this domestication process over thousands of years, wolves rely on their pack for survival, and this social structure translates to the relationship between dogs and their human families. So dogs see their human family as part of the pack, right? Which explains their loyalty and protective behaviors. So breeds like German shepherds and Rottweilers are particularly known for their strong sense of loyalty, stemming from their natural inclination to form close bonds with their pack. So yeah, those German shepherds, Rottweilers are very protective. They know that their job in essence is like, if you come here, I will probably hurt you. Where labs, it's kind of the going joke that if you had a burglar come in, they'd probably be, lick you and then show you where the goods are to steal. Depending on what kind of level of protection or affection you want, you have to decide which dog you want. Then there's some evolutionary traits of dogs. There's some rudimentary changes in their physical features, like a wolf began to change to where its skeletal frame grew smaller and its jaw was shortened. And I didn't really get into why this may have happened, but I would assume it like the skeletal frame being smaller. I don't know if that was something that humans did or if it was actually an evolutionary trait. I didn't get into it, but the jaw shortening kind of made sense to me because if you think of like a crocodile or an alligator, where, if you have a longer jaw with your teeth, it kind of acts as like a tearing. So you have more of that tearing and narrowness to really tear fine pieces of meat. But if your jaw is much more shortened and wider, it's more just for chewing, kind of like humans. Does that make sense?
That's
Yes.
actually what my thought was when you first mentioned that. I was like, I bet that has something to do with hunting because they were no longer hunting. They were just like getting scraps, right?
They're scavengers. So I mean that's kind of I didn't find that in any research. That's just me using my what I thought probably what happened. I mean, it might be in research on why these jaws shortened, but that's exactly where my brain went is like, well, they didn't have to hunt anymore. They didn't have to use it as necessarily a weapon. It was just used for eating. So the wider your jaw is and less narrow, the more food you can fit in there and chew up. Another of the facial traits, and I'm going to get into those right now, is the puppy dog eyes. We all know what that is. So what dogs have done in the theories of evolution is that they have these unique facial muscles that allows them to raise their eyebrows, which aka the puppy dog eyes. It allows them to communicate with us more effectively and get our attention and convey emotion. This is super rare among non-human animals and highlights the deep connection humans have with dogs. This shows that dogs were able to adapt in order to thrive alongside humans and be part of the pack. So the more they look like us, more they act like us, the more likely we're going to bring them into our family. It's pretty smart. And so what puppy dog eyes resembles an expression that humans produce when they're sad. So they're like, "Oh, come give me attention, give me a treat." I mean, my dog does it all the time. She's a pro at it. And then a key study found that dogs possess a specific muscle, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce this Latin derivative word, is the levitator anguli oculi medialis muscle. So it's responsible for raising the inner eyebrow intensely, which is absent or underdeveloped in gray wolves. So all these traits that I'm going to talk about facial expressions and muscles is either completely absent in wolves or is non-prominent and it's not an ability they have. So the lifting of the inner eyebrows also, this is that levitator anguli oculi medialis is the inner eyebrow muscle, allows dogs to expose the white part of their eye to look more human-like. Wolves also cannot expose the whites of their eyes. So that's why when you look at a wolf, it's like pretty scary, right? Because they don't look very human like. So dogs have evolved to be able to raise their eyebrows, move their eyes about, like, and look very human. And this reminded me of, I mean, Marley has pretty, human looking eyes, but she can have that shark eye look too, just because I think it's the pit bull in her. But a person that works with me, she has two, I think they're Springer Spaniels and Poodle mix and she has two of them. And the one came in last weekend because we were working, and she brought him in because he had to get groomed, and he's so adorable. And his eyes are so human. Like you feel like you're looking at a human. And I just thought it was really amazing because both she has two of them. She has the mom and then the son of the mom. And yeah, it's just like looking at a human. Their eyes are just so human. As I was, writing this up, I thought about her dogs that it's I don't wouldn't say creepy, but it's just kind of amazing that dogs are able to look like us. So also another thing is that wolves have slow twitch muscles suited for howling, and dogs developed a higher proportion of fast twitch fibers, allowing for quick, nuanced, and human-like facial movements. So you know how they have the smiling, like removing the eyebrows. I mean, I don't know if your dog does this, Laura, but Marley's able to raise each eyebrow independently. to even have more expression, which
I've
is
never
really fun.
noticed that with Brizzy. But Marley also smiles too. And Brizzy, like I guess it can kind of look like a smile if she's like panting and like looking up at you, but I feel like Marley smiles a lot.
Yeah, she's a big smiler, and I've noticed that. I mean, there's other breeds that do it too, but it seems like the pity breed, they do a lot of it. Like there's lots of videos about the pitties smiling. So yeah, I mean, every dog's expressions are a little different than the next, and it totally depends on the breed. So, I mean, it's also this facial expressions. Induces a nurturing response from humans. So, getting into the smiling, dogs developed a higher percentage of fast twitch muscles, fibers in their faces, so 66 to 95% more compared to wolves that only have about 25% of those fast twitch to allow for rapid, expressive, and short lived facial movements. Dogs learned that mimicking human smiles and other facial expressions led to positive reinforcement, such as food, attention, and affection. Smart little boogers, right? But a dog's smile may look happy, but you got to look for other signs because I only say this because I see it in Marley. She has two types of smiles. One is she's happy, and the other one is she's not happy. And you got to watch for not just their smile, but their body gestures and intensities. And so she, when she's smiling because she's happy we're loving on her and baby talking her, she's wagging her tail. She's got a relaxed body posture. She does this thing called dead bug, is what I call it, where she's kind of on her back and her legs are up in the air and she's smiling, right? But a dog might also smile when they are feeling frightened or aggressive, and they'll have like the flat ears, sometimes growling or whimpering or other signs of tension that can reveal that the smile really means they're not happy. So with Marley, she kind of does the ear thing, but the biggest thing I watch for her is when she gets the shark eyes where her pupil is all black. That's when I know that her smile is not a happy smile. So, be aware of that when you're having your dogs, is that there are other ways they can tell you they're not happy, which can be confusing. Humans unconsciously selected dogs with more expressive childlike features. So that's why I call my, furry animals my fur babies, because they're like children, right? And this enhanced the ability of dogs to survive alongside humans because they're kind of like babies, right? They're like, oh, look at this cute little baby. It's my little animal. The smiling dog has been documented in various cultures for centuries. So it's even dated back as far as Mayan and Egyptian artifacts that depict dogs with wide, open mouthed, and joyful expressions. So this isn't something that's super recent. They've learned to do these facial expressions pretty early on. And then the other thing we have with dogs that is not in any other domesticated animal is something I call love hormone, which is the layman's term for oxytocin. So, when dogs and humans interact, both release a hormone called oxytocin, often referred to as the love hormone. Oxytocin is associated with bonding and trust and is released when we engage in affectionate behaviors like petting or looking into each other's eyes. And this is so true for my dog. Studies show that dogs and their owners experience an oxytocin boost during these interactions, reinforcing the bond between them. The chemical response is rare in relationships between different species and underscores the unique connection between humans and dogs. The release of the oxytocin during bonding moments is one reason why dogs feel such a strong attachment to their human companions, being part of the pack. This doesn't happen with tame wolves. This doesn't even happen when dogs look at a stranger. It only happens when dogs look back at their people. So while the jury is still out on cats, dogs have evolved to love us back.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I'm a
That's
cat
not
person.
true. Sylvia was crying yesterday, and the kitty was coming up sniffing her, being all lovey.
She was just hoping that she was dying so she could eat her.
So Heather's the dog person, and I'm a cat person. Laura, you're probably more of a cat person too, huh? I
Yeah, I'm
think
more of a
so.
cat person. I love my dog, but I really love kitties.
I love other people's dogs. I love Brizzy and Marley. They're adorable.
Well, because
You
they're
know
good
what? I think
dogs.
I would say the same thing. Like I don't like having to put the energy into taking care of another thing right now because my kids are still young. Maybe if I was an empty nester, it'd be different. But cats are so self efficient. And then you can pet them or you don't have to. Like if you're in the mood, you can, but if you're not, they don't care.
Yeah, or if you have a Loki like I do, you can pet them when they allow you to pet them. But I love other people's dogs. I mean, I love dogs. I don't want one because they are a lot of work. But I love Marley and Brizzy. They're great dogs.
Yeah, you have to be dedicated, and just so you know, everybody knows, because I know I'm a dog person. Your cat doesn't come up to you when you get home and is super excited to see you. Like Marley, I could literally take out the garbage. I'm gone for 15 seconds, and I come up back in the house, and she's like, "Oh, well, hi, Mom. Where have you been? What'd you do? How's it going?" Right? It's just ridiculous. A cat could care less, usually. Not all cats. I know there are some
Yeah, I
lovey
was gonna
cats.
say it depends on the cat. I will say that like my kitty, she's follows me everywhere. She loves me. She wants to be with me. If I'm reading on the couch, she's laying on top of the couch next to me. But I will say that the extent of that is very much more dramatic with a dog than with a cat. I think that cats are just a little bit more chill.
Yeah, and I think I thought this was really cute. I mean, whether it's true or not, it's just what, somebody thought about dogs. It's, we live a very long life, right? And we have moments of sadness and boohoo about ourselves and stresses in life. Well, dogs don't have that, of course. But, it's like they live such a short life. Why waste it on being sad? So they're happy about everything. They're happy about every walk, every time a person comes in the door, every treat they get. They are just super excited. And I feel this is where cats fall short. They have, probably a little bit longer lives than dogs most of the time, but they don't care. They're like, yeah, I'll be in a mood when I want to be in a mood.
Yeah, that's true. They do what they want. My kitty, we have glass doors, French doors, and she'll be looking out the door as we're driving away. And so I always joke like, "Oh, this is day 7,960 of my captivity."
100%, because there's certain cats. One of my friends, we went to her house this last summer and just had a little get together between a few of us, and she's like, "Don't let my cat out. Don't let my cat out." And then somehow the cat got out. It was my fault. And I'm like, "Oh no." And so I'm trying to like get her cat, and the cat's like, "Nah, I'm out now. I'm free." And it's true. That's exactly how they acted.
But
It was
dogs
funny.
also do that. I have
Oh
friends that
yeah.
are like, "Don't let my dog out, they'll run away." But my dog, being that she's a cow dog, half border collie, half blue heeler, she's just really, and she's older now, so she's pretty chill. She'll go outside with my husband and he'll have the garage door open and they'll be dinking around and he'll come back in for dinner and I'll be serving up dinner for my kids and I'll look through our glass French doors and she's sitting there looking in like, "Hey, you guys, can I come in too? You forgot me."
Yeah, they want to be with their pack as much as they can. I mean, it's just that's how they are. I just remember that time where I was visiting you, Laura, and we were getting all of our crazy children into the vehicle. And I don't know if we were going to bring Brizzy. I can't recall, but she was with us outside as we're in your driveway. And like she's going to each door trying to get in, and
Yes.
you were telling her, you were mimicking as if she was saying like, "Okay, do I get in here, Mom? Do I get in over here?" But she just wanted to go with the pack, and it's just so cute how excited about every car ride. I call it dogging. So when I take Marley, because it's too cold sometimes, in the wintertime to allow her to dog. And what I mean by that is I roll down the window and so she can smile and dog. And it's funny because she's finally caught on to the fact that I have a mirror and I can see her when she's on my side dogging. And she'll look into the mirror and see me and she smiles big, like Mom thinks I love dogging. It's super cute how they can interact with you on the littlest things like that.
And I think that it is really crazy that it is only recently that certain states consider our pets. I think it's mainly dogs. I'm not actually sure if it's cat or not because it talks about dogs a lot, but it might be both. I was finally like family members rather than property because it's been, the legal system has always considered them to be property, which is just not the case. Like they are our fur babies. So I think it's that the legal system is like way behind where we should be in regards to like animals, like treatment and custody and legal issues around them. Like those are our babies. Like I love my kitty cat. He's my baby. He's not a property. He's a living thing that should be treated like a living thing, not property.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the legal field, which is growing, probably could do a whole segment on that, where your animal on airplanes, and there is a legality to that, like when they transport your pet, if they don't live or they die, there is legal reasons to that. But I think that now with the flight system, they are allowing you to bring your dog, even if they're not a service dog, like, but you have to buy them an actual seat ticket. And, I think it's funny. I have kids, so I can speak to this and I feel comfortable, and maybe people won't agree with me, but I'd rather have a dog on the plane sitting next to me than a crying baby. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
It depends on the dog. So the past couple
True.
of flights, there has been a dog on both of them. It's always like a little dog and it's in its little compartment. And one of them, like, you never heard a peep out of it. And the other one, it was like not happy, like whining a lot periodically. So
Well, that's
depends
what
on the dog.
yeah, and you should test that out with your dog. Like if your dog doesn't travel well, you drug it, which I know sounds terrible, but like Marley, if I took her on a plane, oh my God, she would be ecstatic. She'd be like, "This is the best thing ever. Oh my goodness, what are we doing? This is so fun." So yeah, I think it definitely depends on the dog. Well, I guess it depends on the child too. I mean, I've had flights where there was lots of little kids and they were just adorable, and other flights where one just cried the whole entire time. It just hit and miss.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they really are so much like children. Like my husband and I, claim to be empty nesters, but we're really not because we have a little kitty boy.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I think that if I were on a flight, whether it was an animal or a human, that I would want to be patient with either because I love them both equally.
Well, I will reserve on the comment as far as children versus dogs. It depends on the parents. How about we go that way? Let's blame the parent.
Yeah. That's true.
So yeah, that's all I really had. If you guys have any questions, I might be able to answer them. But yeah, I love dogs and I love fur babies, and some people don't agree. I remember I had a friend that was not a dog person, and I think that is a huge red flag when dating. If somebody is not, you don't have to be a dog person, but if they don't like animals, I think that's a red flag to me.
Agreed.
Yeah,
And that's
I couldn't imagine raising my children without animals. My husband loves animals, but he's like, "Another one, Laura?" I think it's been valuable for my children to be raised with animals. Like, my older daughter, she's 10, she has guinea pigs, and, children just naturally are egocentrical, and it's been very good for her to have something to care for, and that nurturing side was kind of brought out by having these little guinea pigs that she's responsible for in her room that she has to take care of. And also when other my children are upset with me, like my littlest one, she'll be upset with me, and all I have to do is grab a guinea pig, put it on her chest, and instantly her mood changes. Like they just do something for you. Whether it's like horses or sheep or dogs or guinea pigs or a lizard, I think just animals in general are just really good opportunity to learn about, socializing and how to act.
100%. I agree with that, Laura. When Akira moved out when she was 18, I was like, "Oh god, this is my baby. She's gonna be on her own. Oh my gosh!" Like, and then we decided. Well, our two cats did not get along at all, and we decided, okay, well, she's gonna take Lola. Lola was the older cat. She's been since Kira was little. Grandma showed up with her, and she that was her kitty cat, and she took Lola with her when she moved out at 18, and I think that that made that transition 100% easier on her and us just because she had her little kitty cat with her and she wasn't alone. So they are so good for us, like our mental health, I think, whether it's a cat or a dog, whatever you prefer, they're just so good for our mental health. Like you see it on Facebook, like all these people that have their cats and their dogs and they're videoing them and showing all the cute stuff that they do because we love them so much. We want to share that love with everybody.
I had read somewhere too, like having a cat and like the physical action of like petting a cat and listening to their purring is very good for anxiety. Um, like I'm sure that having a dog could be helpful for certain specific people's anxiety, but like a cat, in my mind, I'm thinking of like some 80 or 90-year-old person who can't like take a dog out and play fetch, that having that purring and that petting can be really good and healthy for them as well.
Oh yeah, because when I worked in, I don't know if I worked in them. I think I just did clinicals when I was overseeing a school many years ago for CNAs. There was nursing homes where they had cats, and it was amazing to see it because you could just see their faces light up when they would, the cat would come sit on their lap, or they could feed the cat treats. And then there was a person, physical therapy. I think it was a yellow lab, is what they had. This one facility that we did clinicals at, they bring it in as a therapy dog, and they just loved it. It was kind of like when I would bring Cole into a facility I worked at when he was little, and they loved him because he's a baby. They just love babies. They love animals, and it just lights up their eyes. And yeah, I agree, Laura. It's the little things like that that really can help.
Yeah, I had taken Sylvia to the nursing home a year or two back when she was still in preschool, and we had the time to do that. And of course, they absolutely adored her and loved her, and they would like hug her and give her kisses on her forehead. And then we had to leave, and it was like pulling teeth trying to get her to leave. She said, "No, mommy, one more grandma, one more grandpa." It's just they
That's
need
so
that.
cute.
It was so sweet. It made my day just as much.
And just for the record, Sylvia is about the cutest little thing you ever seen. She is adorable. That she even tricked me. I just remember, I think she was only probably like 1.5 when you took Oleana for a few days. I don't know why you and Ryan volunteered that, but all the kids were pretty young. And I had come into the picture after I got back from camp. Remember when I was volunteering is when you had Oleana and me. And I'm like, no, no way Sylvia's being mean. And you're like, no, she pulls hair and she instigates. And I was like, no way. No, I'm sure it's Oleana that's instigating it. And then I look back. I swear to God, it was right after I said this to you. I look back and Sylvia goes over and just grabs a handful of Oleana's hair and just pulls.
Oh
But
yeah,
she's so
for sure.
cute. She tricks you into thinking that, no, there's no way this cute little thing could ever do anything um ornery. But as we know, her nickname is the Felon.
Just
Oh,
so and just so everybody knows, Sylvia is Laura's youngest daughter, and Heather, you mentioned Cole. Cole is Heather's older son that how old is he? 25, 24? How old is Cole now?
He's 25.
Yeah, I can't keep track. 25. And Kira's my youngest daughter. So just so everybody knows, because we're throwing out names there.
yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, and Sylvia, I'll tell you real quick a cute story about where she got the name Felon. Heather actually named her. She gives her lots of nicknames. She's the baby, so originally her nickname was Yelling Yolanda because she's always 10 octaves too high. But her nickname as the Felon came from she gets tickets at school if you do something good, and if you get 10 tickets, you get to pick a prize or whatever. And I get a message from her teacher. She's in kindergarten, mind you. I get a message from her teacher saying, Sylvia came up to the front of the room at the end of the day and she had 10 tickets, but 3 of them are not tickets that I gave to her. And I asked her, "Where did you get these tickets, Sylvia?" And she shrugged her shoulders. And I said, "Sylvia, you need to tell me where these tickets came from." And she confessed that she had brought them from home. What she had done is her father and I had gone to a football game and we did a 50-50 raffle. And we give her the tickets when we don't win so she can play with them. And she realized they looked very similar to the red tickets her teacher gives her and brought them to her classroom and to turn them in. So, yeah, she was premeditating how to get free tickets and a prize.
The felony was counterfeiting.
Yes, thank you.
I think there's been many crimes since then, but that's definitely the one that stands out. Yeah, and she's still, I think, is she still a Yelling Yolanda? I don't think that's wore off either.
No, she's still yelling Yolanda. I call her Yolanda all the time.
Sorry, me and my nicknames. But she's so funny. I remember she called me, you're yelling Yolanda. I'm like, no, I'm not. You are the one that yells.
Yeah, that's another thing that kind of backs up her felon personality is that she will never admit to anything. Like if she toots, she's never in her life admitted that it was her that tooted, and she'll blame people who aren't even in her vicinity.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure she gets that from her mother. Don't make me tell that story when you were pregnant.
Oh no, I don't fart and I don't poop. I eat just enough.
Yeah. I just remember this is when you're pregnant with Coraline and we're at a barbecue with family and friends. And when you're pregnant, it is hard. Like you can't hold things in. It's uncomfortable. There's no room in there. And Laura tooted it. And I was like, Laura, she was like, we'll blame it on the dog. There were no dogs there, or at least not in the vicinity. So I'm pretty sure that's a genetic trait that Sylvia, well, I mean, as we look at pictures, Sylvia is a carbon copy of Laura. Like they look identical.
Yeah, very much.
Anyways, got off track, but furry children, human children, they all make mistakes and get into trouble. But yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you hopefully in future episodes. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.